Hey, and welcome to episode 27 of Create If Writing, the podcast for writers and bloggers giving you inspiration and authentic platform building tools. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and you can find more at createifwriting.com.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of the Create If Writing podcast. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and I realize that some weeks I forget to say that because I think I'm just so familiar talking with you guys, but I forget that every week I may have new listeners, and I appreciate you guys, and you may need a reminder of who I am. So I blog at kirstenoliphant.com, which is a lifestyle blog, kind of random about anything I feel like writing, and I'm not writing there as much as I used to. And I also keep up the Create If Writing site as well as this podcast. In this episode, I want to share two mistakes that I see people make. They're kind of related to email and your blog, but they relate together. So I'm going to dive in and share these two big mistakes that are easy fixes. So if you're making them, you can go ahead and fix them today. I kind of felt like I should do a little bit of an intro because it's a new year and I'm not making super huge changes to the podcast, but it just seems like a good time for a re-intro in case you don't know me. I make a lot of assumptions and I assume that you guys all know me and are familiar with me from somewhere else already. But in case you are not, I am a writer with a master's degree in fiction that I got from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, which is totally a mouthful. And I love writing fiction, but I also have 4 kids, which we started having as soon as I graduated. So I've written some fiction, but it's a really difficult thing for me to do, if not impossible, with the ages that my kids are right now, which is 7, 5, 2, and 1. So you can understand why it's difficult. And so kind of in the meantime, I've been blogging and realized that I love blogging about writing. And also I really, unlike a lot of writers, I feel like maybe I love kind of the online platform aspect of things and specifically building an authentic platform. So something that doesn't feel smarmy to you. Smarmy is one of my favorite words, but is, just connecting with your readers, whether you're primarily a blog writer or if you actually primarily write books and have a blog maybe to kind of promote your books that you write. Either way, we're really just all about connecting with readers. And so I do interviews 2 a month, and then twice a month, you'll just hear from me. And as we kicked off this new year, I have some interviews already recorded that I can't wait to bring you this month, but I wanted to start with a solo show, just me. And I do think one change that's going to happen this year in the podcast is that I'm going to do a little bit of a longer intro. And there are a few reasons for this. The first is that I often have a lot of things going on that you may be interested in hearing about. So I want to make sure I get those things in. And a second reason is that I have not done sponsors for the podcast. I'm not ruling it out, but at this point, that's just not a direction I'm moving in. But I decided to go ahead and set up a Patreon page. And I want to call it Patreon because I listened to Joanna Penn of the Creative Penn podcast. And that's how she says it because she's British. And so I always want to call it Patreon. And so you can find that at Patreon or patreon.com/KikiMojo. And that's my name basically on all social media. It's my roller derby name. I'm not currently skating, but that was the name I chose when I was getting on Twitter years and years ago. And so it stuck, but it's okay. A lot of people call me Kiki. You're welcome to call me Kiki if you're listening to this podcast, just so you know. Kirsten it's one of those difficult names. I love it, but people forget how to pronounce it and I get called all kinds of things. Okay, so you can find me at patreon.com/KikiMojo, and I have some super cheap options. So like $1 per episode, which is like $4 a month, $2 per episode, which is $8 a month. I'm going to stop doing the math now. And then I did like a $5 per episode and then a huge $25 per episode. And basically kind of those are going to go to help fund what it costs to put this on. And it's really not super expensive if you ever want to start a podcast, but I'm paying about $15 a month in media hosting. And then I also went ahead and bought the smart podcast player. I wanted to say smart passive income player because it's made by Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. But I'm also paying for that. So those are kind of the basic costs plus the cost of, like the site hosting where createifwriting.com is. and all that. So it's little things that add up, but it's also, this takes probably at least each episode, at least 4 hours to do. Sometimes these solo episodes are a little bit quicker, but the editing I do all myself, and, the interviews take some time, and sometimes I have, really chat for a long time with people, and it takes a bit of time to edit those. So anyway, those Patreon donations will help offset some of those costs and maybe free me up time-wise, if possible. What I'd like to do actually is add one afternoon of having a babysitter come to the house to watch my 2 youngest girls kind of during nap time. It seems like when I'm home, nap time is something that doesn't happen. And then when other people come, like my parents, if they come hang out, my kids always sleep, but I can't get a lot done and I can't record anything for sure with them here. So anyway, you can check that out. And there's rewards for every level. There's a private Facebook group. Some of the levels offer free entrance to one of my courses, because I do plan to create more or all of my courses. You get a free book, free brand audit, or an email audit. So anyway, go check that out. If you feel like supporting. So no pressure there, but you will get a shout out on the show as well. So if you like to hear your name, this is a good option for you. One of the other things I wanted to make sure to let you know about is that I'm going to be having a live training this week. And as you're listening, I'm putting this episode up on Tuesday, January 5th. And on Thursday, January 7th, I'm going to be doing a live training workshop at night on easy images. And I'm going to be focusing on using PicMonkey. I may dive into Canva if we have some time, but I wanted to show people how to create a branded image, which is to say finding a way to kind of streamline your images for your site so that they all are indicative of your site, so that when people see them, they know that it's you. So we're going to talk about how to use PicMonkey, which is a free tool. It does have a paid option. It's like $20 a year, and I do pay that. And how to do that quickly, and then also how to quickly size that same image for all social media, because some of them, they need to be vertical for like Pinterest. Some of them need to be horizontal like Twitter and Facebook. And then for your featured image on your blog, usually that's square. And so I've kind of streamlined my process of using one image, which is a stock photo. And I'll kind of also walk you through how to make a stock photo not look so stock photo-y, or look a little bit more your own, so that you're not going to see the same photo on every site. Although you probably still will if you're using the free sites. But anyway, that is on January 7th. And if you're on my email list, you'll already know about that. And if you're not, you can find a link at the show notes. It'll be createifwriting.com/027 for episode 27. And I'd love to have you there. I do offer replays because I know everybody can't make it. I'm doing it at 8 p.m. Central Time. And so I would love for you to join me for that. I also created a free resource for you, which is it's an epic goals guide and annual kind of brand audit for your blog and all of your social sites. And I call it epic because it really is huge. It's over 50 pages. And it walks you through how to use the analytics for your blog, the analytics for all your social media to kind of track what went well last year, and then to kind of plot out, what your focus for this upcoming year is going to be, and how looking at those analytics will help you determine what kind of content you should publish, how often, where you're going to share it. It even goes into different revenue streams that you're planning to use, like whether you're going to focus on gaining page views so that you can make money through ads, or if you're going to focus on creating ebooks or e-courses or something else. It also deals with kind of looking at what I call priorities pie. And that's just, I gave you a big circle to make a pie chart of kind of where you want to put your focus and put your time. An investments page so you can track out, like for me, I think this is where I tend to spend the most money, and I go a little crazy on courses and conferences. And so you can kind of budget that out and plan, okay, like I know I want to go to this conference in May and it costs X amount, and I really need to take a course to improve my video editing skills or something like that, for example. And you can kind of track that on another page. So it's, I'm actually having mine printed out today because our printer's out of ink. So I'm getting it printed today, and we'll start filling that out. But as I created it, I kind of, in my head was thinking about where I want to go. So I'm really excited to fill that out. It's totally free. Again, you can find that on the site, createifwriting.com/027. Let's see. The last thing is that I also, if you are not already on my email list, I have one email I send out every Wednesday, which is the quick fix. And I link to, this podcast episode that's out. And then also just links that I have been reading that have been kind of either giving me tools or inspiration in terms of what I'm doing in this online space and what I'm creating. So sometimes they relate to creativity, sometimes they relate to process and time management, sometimes to specific platforms like Twitter or Facebook, or sometimes they're all about writing. And so that's something that I feel like is very valuable. I take time to curate those links for you. So if you're not already on that list, you definitely want to get on there because I'm going to be having other things happen this month. I have some really excellent other live training opportunities. And I also will be launching Creative Profitability, which is a joint course that I'm doing with Angela England. We did a bundle for it kind of in pre-launch in November. And it's going to be a course all about how to make money from your blog without ads and sponsored posts. And so it's kind of dealing with e-courses and using webinars to promote and how to write good sales copy, how to write ebooks and kind of all those things, and kind of just being a scrappy entrepreneur, which is, I don't know that I can technically call myself an entrepreneur, but I feel like I'm entrepreneur-y. And so it's kind of for those of you who are wanting to make some money online, but you don't want to either primarily or at all use sponsored posts or ads on your site. So if you want to hear about those things, jump on my email list. Okay, so this episode, I wanted to talk about mistakes, and I did a Periscope this week. I'm going to be trying to do Periscope every day or a few days a week around 8 or 9 p.m. Central Time. And one of the scopes I did was on my biggest mistakes of 2015. And I didn't actually include all of them, but I included 2 big ones. So I want to talk about the 3 mistakes that I would highlight from my year in 2015. And then also kind of outline some mistakes that you might be making in terms of your website or your email list. So to start off, the cheapest mistake that I think I made was I bought a planner from Erin Condren. And if you don't know Erin Condren planners, they're huge among blog types and they're very beautiful. I like the way it feels in my hands. If you're a school supply person and you love new notebooks and pencils and how those things feel and smell, you would love her planner. It has stickers and notes, and it's I imagined myself using it. It was so pretty. And I'm not a big planner person, and I've always known this, but I thought this $50 planner is going to make me a planner user, and it didn't. So if you know you're not a planner user, don't buy a planner, especially not a $50 one. I probably will buy one because I do need some kind of paper calendar, but I will buy like a $5 one from Walmart or Target. So that's one lesson I learned. And $50 isn't a ton, but that's a lot, especially for a planner. Now, I know people who do use other planners, and I've actually heard the Happy Planner is really good, and that's less. I'll leave links to some in the show notes because if you are a planner user, you might love the Erin Condren planner, or you might really love the Happy Planner, or one of these other fancy planners that you can kind of go crazy on. But I have learned the hard way again and again, I do not use them well, so I should not invest. Another much bigger mistake, and probably the one that just makes me want to kick myself or punch myself in the face possibly, is a more costly mistake, and it was $250. And actually thinking that, I'm going to add a 4th mistake. So get excited for me sharing things I did wrong in 2015 with you. So the $250 mistake went like this. It's a little hard to explain. So if you've listened to me or if you're in the online space and know anything about email, they always say don't purchase a list. And I don't actually, I guess, I don't know where you buy lists. It's kind of, I told somebody it was sort of like drugs. Like I knew people who did drugs, but I didn't know where you got them and how that worked. And so the same thing with email lists. Like I know people purchase them, but I don't know where. And you shouldn't. Like it's not something you want to do. You don't want to add people to your email list without permission. It's illegal to add them without permission. And even if you do and don't get caught, chances are it's not going to be people who are interested in what you have to say because they're just random people that you don't even know. It's like cold emails. It's not people, it's not going to give you a warm list. So I've always known that. But an opportunity came up with a few other bloggers that I work with. And there was a guy who, again, this gets really weird to tell, but anyway, they got some advice from a guy who was working with them on some other projects. And he was kind of a business type guy. And he had used this method in another space, and it had worked really well, which is to purchase a list of like 10,000 names of people who had subscribed or signed up, given their emails for a specific type of things. And in this case, it was for my lifestyle blog, which is mainly focused, I would say, at this point on parenting, because that's a huge part of my lifestyle. And so these were all people who had opted in saying they're interested in parenting. And instead of adding them all to our list, what we would do is there would be an email sent, and it would highlight the freebies that we offer for people signing up for our list. And so I'd been working on a freebie anyway. I finished creating that, and I was really excited about it. And if you don't already have it, if you head to KirstenOliphant.com, you'll see how to get your free book. It's a survival guide for every mom, and it's mostly geared towards moms, but dads, I think you'll get a kick out of it too. It's not serious. It's mostly humorous. But I created that. I was really excited about it, and we all went in $250. And so what was going to happen is the email was going to go out to the 10,000 people with an easy opt-in. And so like, hey, get your free books. Here are 4 books you can get, and just click this link. Nothing happened. I got 0 subscribers from this. And the thing that was so hard about it wasn't just that I got 0 subscribers. It was that I knew ahead of time, in my mind, I was like, I have doubts. This feels really close to buying a list. I mean, I know we're still getting people to opt in. I know these people are targeted. They said they want to be, receive emails about parenting. However, it just feels wrong. And I didn't listen to my gut. And all of us were really excited about this. And I think that's why I was like, okay, other people I know are doing this. And for all of us, it was a big bomb. It just didn't work. And so don't buy a list. Don't do anything that sounds like it might be buying a list. But the real lesson is that you need to listen to your gut. Which brings me to, I'll do my 3rd lesson, which is one I just thought of actually. So it should be the 4th, but I'm leaving the 4th, my finale, as it was. But I did buy a lot of courses last year because I'm a course junkie. I like learning a lot. And, I started this site and this podcast and really kind of started a business last year, and I didn't know how to do that. And so I did a lot of free learning. And then when I felt like I needed to bump up my game, I would buy a course or take something that was more paid if I felt like I couldn't get enough for free. And I'm not going to say the type of course, because then you guys will all be guessing, what course was it she bought? And you'll figure it out pretty quickly. So I'm not telling you what kind of course, but I did really shell out. I was waiting all year to purchase this particular course. And I said, okay, if I make enough money on this, then I'm going to go ahead and get that course. And it was a $1,000 course. And that's just a lot of money for me. So, I was really excited about it. And then when I bought it, I started going through it, and I just felt like it just isn't worth $1,000. And, I can say that because I've been through a bunch of other courses this year, and it's not about length. Like, the thing to know about online courses is that you're not paying for how many modules. Like, it shouldn't be $1,000 course has like 80 modules, because really what you want to get is you want to get the results that you want in the shortest amount of time possible. Like, you want to master it as quickly as possible. You don't want to make it, you want it to be comprehensive, but it's not about length. It's about value and how you can get that information to people and get it to them in a timely way so that they can handle it. So anyway, I hated that I bought this course, and there was no way to know that it, that I wouldn't think it was worth it, everything leading up to it. And sometimes you just think, if it's $1,000 and I know people buy it, it must be worth it. And it's helpful. And I'm trying to get the very most I can get out of it, because I was so disappointed. And I probably should have, checked in the first 30 days to see hey, it's not for me. But I didn't. And so some courses you can't do that anyway. So in any case, that was a mistake. And my 4th and final mistake that I want to share with you from 2015 is this. I sometimes tried to do what worked for other people. And I don't have any specific examples. There wasn't a one lesson like with those 3 monetary lessons that I learned and just shared. But, again, I started off 2015 not at all thinking that I was going to start a podcast and a whole website and be creating courses. That was not even on my radar. And so, a lot of this, as I said, I'm not a business person, by nature. I'm not a salesperson by nature. So some of these things, especially selling my own products, it kind of came as a surprise, and I was really scrappy in figuring things out. And so I think as I began to listen to other podcasts from entrepreneurs and started seeing what other people were doing, I thought that what I needed to do should look like what I saw other people doing. And in some ways, you probably won't see a change. I think I will more know the change because I am going to continue to create courses and do live trainings and do webinars. But I think for me, it was more of a mental thing. I think my goals were skewed. I think, I don't, like, as I said, I don't think of myself as much as an entrepreneur as, I listen to a lot of businessy type podcasts because I don't know that stuff. It comes a little naturally to me, but not fully. It's not my thing. And so it's a little more my thing than I thought, I realized. But, sometimes I listen to these people doing stuff and I have to remind myself, like, that's not my end goal. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm doing. And so I may overlap. I may do courses and somebody else does courses, but who we are and what we're providing and also kind of where our goals are, they're just not the same. And that's really freed me up a lot. It wasn't a mistake that I kicked myself over like the ones where I paid money, but it was kind of one where I was like, oh, I can, I don't have to look like, my model of what I'm doing doesn't have to look like so-and-so's model. It can look like whatever model I want, which is super exciting. And so I'm not even, fully committed or sure where this year is going to take me because I do like to plan. I do like to look at an overall vision, and I plan to do that when I sit down with my planner as it gets printed out today. But I like to leave room for change and leave room for things that come up that I wasn't anticipating. Again, this entire podcast, me talking right now to you, was not at all on my radar 1 year ago. Not in the plans, not in the works. I had not even ever in my life considered starting a podcast or even a new blog. So, And it was such a great decision. I loved it. I really, really have loved it. But I think I realized that I don't need to box myself in and that I can make this space and, kind of how I'm making money or what I'm providing to you guys, it can look like what I want it to look like. And also that means making it look like what you guys want. And so, I've been really surprised. I've done some different things this year. I created the free email course, which I loved and I thought would really, really build my list. And it did. But the free blog planner, which was just something like, oh, I really want to do this spontaneously. It took a while to create because it's really pretty. I like to make stuff pretty. But I had no idea the impact that would have. And it's, I think tripled maybe not tripled, at least doubled. The signups I've gotten from the free email course, even in the first 5 days. And so, sometimes I think we make these plans maybe based on what we see other people doing. And instead we need to kind of consider, okay, I see what they're doing. How might that apply to me or how might it not? How would that serve my audience? And so I'm kind of looking for more and more ways that I can serve you. And some of the ways you may want me to serve you are not things you're going to get from me and I'll send you somewhere else. And so again, I want to stay true to myself and kind of plot my own course and also go where you guys want to go and kind of find that happy place where those things intersect, what you guys are looking for and what I feel like I can provide or want to provide. Okay, so those are my big mistakes of 2015, some expensive ones and some not so painful ones. And I want to talk about a few mistakes that I see people making, with your website or with your email list. And the reason I was thinking about this is I like to be a student of the things that I like to do. And so when it comes to email lists, I sign up for 1 million email lists because I like to see how people handle the sign up process. I like to see, what kind of customization they do with the forms, where they send me, the creative things that people do or that people don't do. So I'll start with that mistake. And the first mistake I want to say is that when you have an email list, you need to customize your forms. I've talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about this till I'm blue in the face because I constantly see people with huge lists who do not customize these forms. And what I'm talking about is this. When you go to sign up for someone's email list, so you're on a website and say there's, those blanks to enter your email and you enter it and then you hit subscribe or yes, I want to join or whatever it is on the button, you click it. And depending on who they use, you'll either get a pop-up or, kind of a new page, or you will just see a thank you, or, it just depends on who they're using. And then you'll get an email confirmation, and then you have to kind of click confirm, and then you might be redirected to another page, and you might get another email. So there's a lot of steps, and depending on who you use, there are more steps. And most places use double opt-in. When I used MadMimi for a little while this year, I actually chose their single opt-in because I wanted to see how that worked, and I felt like I didn't like that as much. And, I feel like for me, I liked the connection opportunities that the double opt-ins provide. So when you sign up for those lists, you can tell the people that have taken the time to be intentional with those. And so, when you say you click a link on someone's page, like sign up for my email list here, and here's the link. It's hyperlinked to that word, and you click it and you get that little pop-up window where you enter your email address and everything. Sometimes you will see the wording that is just the basic wording from that email service provider. And I see this a lot with people who use MailChimp, where it just says subscribe to our list below, or something totally boring like that. And that's it. And that's all people see. It's like a gray screen or a white screen. There's nothing to it. And I will say, unless I'm super interested in your list, if that's what I see when I click that link or that pops up to sign up, I won't sign up. I won't finish signing up. And the reason is this: I feel like, our inboxes are so crowded and we want to fill them with things that we really want to be there. And I kind of feel like if you have not taken the time to customize this and to make the whole experience and the whole process of signing up personalized, I just kind of feel like, how much are you going to be intentional with everything else on your list? Is email even a priority for you? Because it's not hard to customize these forms. And sometimes people just don't know. And that was me. I think when I had MailChimp, and I've used MailChimp for years. I've switched now to ConvertKit. But when I used MailChimp the first year or so, I don't think I knew I could customize those. And so I didn't, or I just customized the very, very basic. So I'll leave a link to a video actually of where I'd walk you through customizing those links in MailChimp. So if you do use MailChimp and want to know, I'll leave that in there. But find out from your email service provider all the steps that you have to go through. Sign up for your own list and see what happens, because often you'll find, hey, there's a mistake here. Hey, I wish this looked like this. And this leads me into kind of the other mistake. And I would say I don't know, these are all big, so I can't decide. But this is the one that I feel really passionate about right now. And that's a thank you page. So most of your email service providers will allow you to, you can either see kind of their standard page or standard form, which you can customize, that says thank you for signing up. Or there's this little option you can tick and say redirect to another page. And I would 99% of the time recommend that you have them redirect to another page. And you can either use lead pages, which is a tool that I'm using now. The jury's still out on whether I love it or not, or will use it again. But you can do this just on your own website. And, I don't think I knew for years that you could create pages that were not like on your main navigation. Like I have all these thank you pages and you don't see them when you go to my site. Like you can't get to them. Like they're not up in that navigation bar, but they're there. So when you sign up for my email list, you will be redirected to this thank you page. And the most important part of this thank you page is a social share. You want to have, whether if you're on your own site, you could use click to tweet or one of those types of plugins or options to have or embed a tweet that people can retweet that tells people, hey, I just signed up for this email list. It's awesome. You should do it too. And what I have found is that using a thank you page is super effective. It's custom. It gives people, you can be personal on it. Sometimes I'll use like a funny photo instead of my serious profile photo. And, the sharing, it really does work. And now I did have one complaint this past week, and I just was like, ugh, I hate complaints. They just always go right to my head or my heart, and they shouldn't, but they do sometimes. And so I had a complaint where I had shared about the blog planner on Facebook in a group. Somebody responded, why would I want to share this? I haven't even seen it. How do I know I'm getting it? And, the blog planner, as soon as you sign up, it goes to your email. And for some reason, there was a little bit of a delay, like an hour or something this weekend when it's sent. But this person didn't send it on the weekend. But even so, I kind of, I get it. I get it. But at the same time, I've just given you a free 50-page planner that took hours to create. So I don't think you need to be super picky. But normally what has happened is that when I have done the free blog planner or the free email course, I have created, using lead pages, a thank you page that has the social shares right there. So people can share on Facebook or Twitter. And I make sure that in the place where you edit the tweet, and you can do the same thing when you do it if you're using click to tweet or embedding a tweet. I guess not embedding a tweet, you can't tag yourself, but you want to tag yourself so that you know when people are sharing. And then what I've done is I've seen, I go in and check my notifications. And I see where people have tagged me that they've signed up for the blog planner. And these are people that I don't follow on Twitter. They may not follow me, but I go and follow them and I thank them. Say, thanks for sharing. Thanks for getting it. Hope it's helpful. And so I've made new Twitter connections. They're sharing it with their followers. And so it gets more viral that way, which is why you get more signups for things. Same thing with a webinar or anything else you're doing. If you have an option to create a thank you page with viral sharing opportunities, do this. So that's a huge tip for this year. So I've kind of built them for, everything. So anytime there's an opportunity to have a redirect to a thank you page, I've got one. So those are my 2 big mistakes that I see people making that are super easy to fix and might have a really big impact on how people sign up for your email list, respond, or share, either signing up for your email list or your webinar or whatever it is you're doing, is by customizing all those forums and making sure everything redirects to a thank you page with social shares. So I hope that helps sharing the mistakes I've made. Some of the mistakes, I've definitely made those mistakes in my past where I haven't utilized a thank you page or even a redirect page or even customized my forms. But those are really easy things you can do to kind of up your game and see more results. So that's the end of this episode. And coming up next week, I've got Gabriella Pereira from DIY MFA, which is a podcast all about writing tools and writing community. She has some great interviews and just really, really fun to talk to. I'm actually going to be on her podcast later in the month. So we had so much fun talking that we decided that I should come on her podcast as well. So I'm going to be visiting over there. And then you'll hear from me again. And then I've also, at the end of the month, got Amy Schmidauer from Savvy Sexy Social. And she has the Social Authority podcast, which is fantastic. And that's how I found her. But she's more known for her YouTube channel, Savvy Sexy Social. And she's actually just moving to a 5-day-a-week schedule. So if you need social media tips, she is your girl and does a great job with her videos, is very fun and engaging, and just makes things really super accessible. So anyway, I'm very excited to have both of them coming up in these episodes. So please go visit the show notes at creativewriting.com/027. And you can also go to patreon.com/kikimojo if you want to support the show and help offset my costs and my time. I'm super thankful that you guys are listening. I hope you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I'm going to start releasing them on Tuesday evenings, and it may be late, maybe like almost midnight Central Time, maybe. But I want to get them up on Tuesday so that they can be sent out in the quick fix on Wednesday. So make sure you're subscribed to the show and also subscribe to my email so you can hear about my live trainings and all the different events and exciting free things that are going on. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have an inspired week.